Hello there. Alright. I wasn't fucking focused this one. No. And this has made it so that I cannot really fully understand them. Ugh. Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah. You'll have to excuse my lack of a cheery disposition. I've had to record this 3 times now. The last time, the camera wasn't recording. Fun, isn't it? Thankfully, this means that I know the concept pretty well by now. I know my own writings pretty damn well. So, let's talk. Now, at the time of writing this, I do not have the language fully to research this concept. I tried Google Scholar. I'm not a great researcher. I could not find anything close. Well, I could find something close, but nothing exact. Nothing describing this feeling. And so, despite the fact that I am not an essayist, I am not somebody who finds that their words are important enough to lay to paper. I don't tweet, I don't do anything like that. I recognize my place on the totem pole. Instead, this is not created of that desire. This is not created because I feel as though I have something to say. This concept feels as though it has a certain cosmic importance. Now, I'm going to preface all of this with the fact that I consider myself an artist. I consider myself to be a woman who makes art, makes pretty things because I think that they deserve to exist. I think that art needs to exist. It is the language of something much greater than us. It is our soul trying to speak. However, as an artist, I am one who has not been able to hold any one art form for any extended period of time. I tried drawing for a while, I tried animating for a while, I tried video editing for a while, and then I tried drawing again. And they keep going in these circles, slowly accumulating skills, slowly becoming a jack of all trades and master of none. I slowly improve, of course, as my general artistic prowess grows, and truly there is no better feeling than when I've put down drawing for a couple of months, come back, and was better than when I left off, but ultimately, I label myself as an artist. Not as an illustrator, not as a video editor, not as an actor, definitely not as an actor. You will see throughout this video that I am terrible at articulating my ideas, even when they are my ideas. But I see myself as an artist. And the concept I would like to discuss is the Muse. The Muse, to me, is something utterly indescribable with a single word. The name that I have given it is simply for convenience sake. However, I can tell that it is something grand. In the writing of this, I considered the use of the phrase, my muse. However, I recognize that this thing was much greater than that. To try and lay claim to a cosmic force would be like an ant trying to lay claim to gravity. Folly. Painful, maybe. Ultimately, I seek to describe. I seek to know and I seek to create content to hopefully educate others, or at the very least draw others who are more educated than myself to myself. With that, let's begin on a description of the Muse. Oxford describes the Muse in a certain way. I don't care how they describe it. The Muse is beyond their description. It is not the nexus point of creation for an individual. It is not a person that somebody sees and perceives and wants to capture the likeness of. It's beyond that. It is something ethereal, something cosmic, something that ignites the very soul of the individual who's utilizing it, and they are utilizing them, if that makes any sense. I when writing this, considered using the word inspiration. I considered having that be the term, the bouncing off point for the muse. However, I recognize now that inspiration is too eerily close and vastly different to be utilized to describe exactly what this is, and instead would be better utilized to draw a silhouette around it by describing what inspiration isn't. Inspiration comes from within. Inspiration is the soul igniting the heart and telling it, you must create. I have seen great things. I have seen wonderful colors. I have seen the likeness of nature. I have seen beauty everywhere. You must create it. And your body responds. Your heart agrees. It says, yes, we need to create art. We need to make. We need to do. We need to make change. But the muse is not this. The muse is not inside of you. The muse is not internal. The muse is something entirely without, whereas inspiration comes from within. The muse is a whispering in your ear, the soul of the universe igniting you as the heart, using you as the tool. This feeling, this creation, this amazing euphoric desire to make, coming from without and demanding that you seize it with haste and that you make what it says, not in a demanding way, but in a kind, educational way. That feeling is what I seek to describe. Greek mythology describes 9 muses in its very long writing. These 9 muses, as far as I cared to research them, were not gods, but pretty close. They were spirits of a kind, and each represented different forms of creation. They each sought to inspire man to create different things. They sought to bring art into the world. They whispered into the ears of artists to have them make grand sculptures. They guided the hands of painters to capture the likeness of nature in ways that was unheard of. This is the closest that any description has come to describing the muses that I know, or attempt to know. Now, I'm going to preface that I am not religious. I do not hold myself to any one religion. I find that far too limiting. Instead, I would describe myself as spiritual. I would describe myself as a very novice theologian who cherry-picks morals from everywhere she can to try and make her moral compass that much stronger. Because that is the value I see. And from that perspective, I believe I can hold a strange and scrutinizing light to this concept. Now then, the actual feeling of the muse. Imagine, if you will, consuming a piece of art. It doesn't have to be visual, it doesn't have to be auditory, just art. It could be looking out at a hill and losing yourself. Some describe it similarly to flow state. Some describe it similarly to insane amounts of inspiration. However, there is a distinct feeling that it is not you, but something else you've witnessed and allowed into you, and it is telling you to make. It is guiding your hand. And with it, with the power that it imbues, with the desire that it imbues, words fly onto the page. Paint flies onto the canvas. The shape, forms of your ideas. The same way that a paintbrush would have no issue laying paint onto the canvas, you have no issue laying your ideas into reality. The things you think become manifest. You look at your art and you see pride. You see necessity. You feel a divine desire to make more, to continue. And then the muse leaves. I have, for a while now, attempted to understand the Muse, less in the same way that a scientist would try to understand gravity or a mathematician would attempt to understand theorems. I'm not a mathematician. More in the way that you would know a person, a loved one, a friend. Something that comes in and out of your life and brings intrigue, brings new joy. And yet, in this knowing, in each time I am visited by a muse and I am surged forward to create, a small voice in the back of my head makes itself known. It's the police. The police make themselves known. The muses come about when I try to know them. It's an animalistic but human feeling, one that I believe is tied to our coil less than our soul. As our history has proven is our instinct, it is the feeling and desire to make a tool of splendor. To take the hair of goddess and make it into a paintbrush. To take the bones of a giant and make the structure of a house. To take the flesh of an elder god and feast. The concept that it is inherent to humanity to make tools of splendor. And yet, despite feeling this urge every single time, I feel a sort of pride and happiness in recognizing my desire to graduate from this. These animalistic needs no longer lording over me as I simply wish to enjoy it. There's a happiness in being the vassal of something greater than you. There's a contentment in knowing that you could never hold this thing in your hands. So why try? Why not instead let it come to you and flow freely through you? Why not be the best tool that you could be for a god? This desire within me that remains despite however many times the muse will come to me, every single time it makes itself known, reminds me of my animalism. It reminds me of my flesh, of the instincts that are tied to me, the instinct to survive, to take what I have and a little bit more, so that I may survive the cold winters. Yet, the graduation from that animalistic pragmatism, that soul conquering flesh, and yet they're working in tandem to channel such a wonderful thing, that, I believe, is a portion of the muse. A portion of the silhouette I am trying to draw. Now, referring back to what I had said earlier, when the muse leaves, it's a strange moment. Imagine with me, if you will. I had just finished watching Sinners. Watch it. It's amazing. Watch it. Don't even ask questions. Just go do it. I had, from the moment of leaving my chair in the theaters, had a buzzing in my head. Like my teeth were vibrating. Like I needed to make this. Ideas were in my head like an injection of raw essence had been put inside me, and yet it was shapeless. It was formless. And so I rode in the back seat of my fucking little car as my friends drive me home. We get back to our place, and my first instinct is to lunge towards my computer and start writing. I can't exactly remember what I wrote. I'm sure I have it written somewhere, but it was not this. It was something else. And yet, that euphoric high, as I sat there, words spilling from me, unconceptualized words, mind you. Not things that I had wanted to create for a while, not things that I had thought of during the movie, things that came to me the moment I sat down at my computer, came out coherently. More so than anything I had planned and made. More so than anything I had desired to bring into the world. And then, halfway through writing it, as it always does, the muse looked down on the thing I was making and saw that I was creating something that it thought would become the final product that it sought to make. And so a nod saw it off, and left only an artist in her half-made work. That feeling, when the buzzing leaves your head, when your fingers stop shaking against the keyboard, when your words per minute drop from, I don't actually know the numbers, like 250 to like 150. That feeling is a palpable absence, and it excites me to my very core. I recognize that I may sound deranged. That the lady who's sitting in front of you with blue and red multicolored lights and purple, probably smeared lipstick, I can't see, you're all the way over there. I wanted to create a nice like depth of field effect, but you need to be like way over there for that to happen, so it didn't really happen. You're just really far for no reason. I hope that that person sounds deranged. I hope that the idea comes across as novel and intriguing, but I imagine that it doesn't. I imagine that there are artists out there watching this. Artists who are like me, who hear these concepts and this desire, this concept to create spirituality, to speak the language of gods, to create shards of divinity, feel right. These ideas feel natural. I imagine there are weirdos, like you, like me, that agree with this concept. And I hope that there are weirdos like you, like me, who know more about us, know more about this concept than us. Because as I have previously stated, research has gotten me nothing. All of this has come from within. If there was no word to encompass this feeling, if there was nothing, an interdimensional Cthulhu-like being comes crashing through reality to come and deliver the message that, hey, Rito, this thing that you're making, this video you're talking about, this whatever stupid play thing you have going on, yeah? Language cannot hold this concept. It's too grand. In the same way that the universe is everything, not anything. There's no word to describe this. It's too grand, too nebulous, too ethereal. I'd probably scream, but I'd also believe it, that there's no word for this thing. And yet, no purple horrors of Zinch are coming through my walls, so I will endeavor to continue to search for this word, the thing that describes how I feel, the thing that makes me want to create, to make, the feeling of a warm, radiant hand of light resting on my shoulder, whispering in my ear the necessity to bring beauty into this world, the necessity to sing in chorus with creation itself. I will continue to look for that. I hope that this riddle has no answer. I hope this concept is able to go beyond confounding my silly little mind and confound your silly little mind. I hope that I may bring at least interest, at most knowledge, community, discussion, until... Man, these cars are really loud. Until you next see me. Until next the muses take up the mantle again and make me want to do this shit. Put up lights and talk about my feelings on the internet. I'd like to hear from you. And I know that's a lot to ask. On the internet, at least. But until next I make a video, or art, or something, discussion is welcome and encouraged, as it should be. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm such a pretentious little bitch.